Rasasi Ice, Hawas Ice. And the most common question that I've been getting every time I post about this particular fragrance is, should we get this? Is it worth getting? So, and is it better than Rasasi original? Okay, so to answer these questions, we are going to review, we are going to find out what's the scent profile, what's the lasting, and which one is better. And the final question being, should we get Rasasi Hawas Ice? So we'll do all of that, and let's get started. So welcome to the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney, and let's start right after this intro. Back. So Rasasi Hawas is a relatively new flanker that's launched in the last couple of months, and there's been a lot of hype about it in terms of the scent profile, and there's been a lot of craving for this particular fragrance as a successor to the original Hawas. Now the original Hawas has been a very popular fragrance among everybody. I have a decant of this here, and this particular fragrance has been very mass appealing. It's been something that has garnered compliments for a lot of people, and this is a fragrance that has lasted long as well. And when you get this particular fragrance, and if you put on a couple of sprays, you kind of immediately start liking it because of its scent profile. So this fragrance can be described as fruity, aquatic, marine, powdery, musky kind of a fragrance. A little bit of that bubblegummy vibe to it, but not a very prominent one. But if you look at the notes on this particular fragrance, this one has got apple, it's got orange, it's got a little bit of lemon, then in the mid it's got plum, it's got cardamom, all of that, and then it's also got a little bit of cinnamon as well, and then in the base it's got driftwood, it's got patchouli and musk, right? Now ambergris as well. Now when you consider all of those things, and when you think about the concoction that this particular fragrance is made up of, you kind of get a very beautiful blast of freshness from that apple and citrus notes, and you get a little bit of that sweetness coming from cinnamon and a little bit of that cardamom. But then you don't really recognize cardamom as a note here. You kind of just kind of get that sweetness to it, and which is kind of blended because of the cinnamon and cardamom. In terms of the dry down, you have patchouli, you have driftwood as well, and then you have musk. So musk, yes, you do kind of get this on this particular fragrance, but relatively speaking, this is not a musk fragrance, so to say. This is more of a fruity fragrance with a nice bubblegummy aromatic vibe. Now there is that aquatic tone because of which this particular fragrance can be worn to office, can be a year-round fragrance, can be an excellent summer fragrance, all of that. So that way this really works very well. You get about 2.5 feet of projection, I would say, and then in terms of lasting, this will do about 5 to 6 hours of lasting. While on skin and on apparel, it will definitely last a little more as well, definitely. But then the best part about this is the scent profile of this particular fragrance, which is very, very loved by people, and that way this really goes a long way. And at a fraction of a price, at about I think sub 3,000-4,000 rupees, or maybe about sub 5,000 rupees, this has been a very good fragrance for a lot of people because it's very mass appealing that way because of its scent profile, and very, very lovable. I kind of like the dry down on this as well, because as it goes into the dry down, the patchouli and the driftwood and that musk make it for a very nice mellow kind of a dry down, and you kind of get a little bit of that powdery vibe to it, which makes it a really, really nice fragrance. Now when you consider Rasasi Hawas Ice, now this particular fragrance is built on top of it, so it's taking the DNA of this. Now to what extent? I would say about 60-65% is where the DNA is captured from this. Like for example, there is apple here, and the apple goes missing here. You have apple replaced by mint, you have lemon, you have citrus elements, and then in the middle notes you kind of have the same plum, cardamom and all of that. But in the dry down or in the base note, there is sandalwood added here. There is musk as well, but there is sandalwood. Now while we say there is sandalwood, I wouldn't really say this is the sandalwood dominant fragrance at all. This particular fragrance, when you sniff it, okay. Now before we actually go to the scent profile, let's really talk about the flanker itself. The bottle itself is really, really nice. It's very heavy, and you can see this blue colored juice, and the cap is like superb. It kind of fits so snugly, right? You can literally hold this bottle by its cap, but then you need to put a little bit of a pressure to kind of pull the bottle cap off. And the sprayer is pretty nice as well. Let me try and see if I can get this sprayer captured. So it's pretty good. The sprayer is pretty good. and you get a very nice opening on this particular fragrance. Now, like I said, the DNA of this particular fragrance is about 60-65% built here. So what you really get in terms of a scent profile is the first blast, which is you have citrus elements, but then there's no apple, but then you get mint, and the mint blast is really very prominent and very beautifully done here. So the mint is really nice, and then immediately after the mint, in the second part, you have blackcurrant, which is also giving you that little bit of that tartness that is required on this particular fragrance. You also have cardamom note, which is taken from the original DNA that's there. But in the dry down is where there is a change. In the dry down, there is sandalwood on this particular fragrance, which is not a very prominent sandalwood, but then I would say that this is captured well, and that way sandalwood comes across very nice. Overall, I would say this particular fragrance DNA is much refined, much more welcoming, much more compliment getting, and a much more pleasing DNA compared to the original Hawas. Now, I kind of really like this particular fragrance for its scent profile because it really works well when that freshness comes out of that grapefruit, citrus element, and that mint. It's really captured well. So I kind of like this one Ice better than the original Hawas for a couple of reasons. One is primarily because at the base note there is sandalwood, but like I said, that it's not very prominent. But then there is also the element of tonka beans as well. So there is a little bit of that slight vanilla kind of a vibe that you get in the dry down, which makes it for a very nice cozy kind of a fragrance as well. Now, in terms of the notes itself, it's not really listed anywhere in terms of what exactly are the notes. Different sites like Splash Fragrance and other sites, talk about different variations in notes, but the predominant thing, I think, citrus element is definitely there. It has definitely got those plum, cardamom element. There is a bit of the tartness from the blackcurrant as well. So those elements are captured. The mint is definitely, something that you can smell. And in the dry down, of course, you get that vanilla vibe. So the tonka bean and the sandalwood combination also kind of, could be true, and it works very well. Now, in terms of performance, I would say this particular fragrance also will do about 4 to 5 hours, maybe about 6 hours, depending on the climate that you have on skin. But on apparel, I will tell you, this will easily be on your apparel even the next day as well. So if you wear on your clothes like 5-6 sprays, and if you sniff your shirt back the next day, you will you don't even have to sniff it. You will evidently know that you still have the fragrance on with you. So that way, that on apparel, it really performs really well. Even on skin, when I say 5-6 hours is easy, but then even after that, you kind of will, if you sniff your hand, you will kind of recognize that the fragrance is there. So that way, lasting is not a problem at all on both the fragrances. Especially Ice does it really well. Now, in terms of pricing, I think it's going around 4,500 on Facebook, and online it's about 5,000, 5,200 and so forth, right? So that way it really is a good juice for this kind of price point. Now, if you go back to the question and figure out, is this better than Hawas? It's a very subjective question, but you can definitely get both, and they are slightly different. Although this is built on the same DNA, the note profile is slightly different. So this one's a keeper. Okay, so you can definitely buy this, right? And it's definitely worth getting it as well. So those two questions get answered. Now, does this perform better than this? That could be subjective, because this, I feel, is got a better projection for the first 2-3 hours, while this is a little lower. In terms of lasting, both are similarly good. Both will last you about 5-6 hours on skin, and apparel a little longer, so that way also is good. Now, between the two, if you ask me what would I choose, like I said, I definitely prefer the Ice over the original, because I think this is a DNA that's been cloned a lot, and it's been around quite some time, and it's liked by everybody. So this is a little more fresher, a little more cleaner take on this, and the vibe is really good because of the mint note on this. So that is my thought about the Rasasi Hawas Ice, and you can definitely get a partial or a full from Vinay Khanna from Exclusive Scents. I will kind of put their number, so you can get in touch with a good price, and you should definitely get one, right? So having said this, yes, this is a really good take on the original Rasasi Hawas. If you have been liking this and you got compliments and garnered a fragrance that you want for everyday wear, you can definitely get Rasasi Hawas Ice. Like I said, the primary difference you would see is the added mint note to it, added sandalwood, tonka beans to it, which kind of make it a little more fresher, a little more vanilla, a little more powdery in the dry down. So that's that, and lasting is really good. So yes, you can definitely get this. It's beautiful as a fragrance, and definitely the bottle also is an excellent fragrance as well. Watch out for the blooper because I pulled it up and you will see what happened, right? So having said that, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and please do comment what is your favorite fragrance between the two. If you would want to comment, or if you would want to check more blue fragrances, we can definitely try them. And hit the like button, subscribe. Take care. My name is Rodney. You're watching The Perfume Experience. Bye now. superb. It kind of fits so snugly, right? You literally can hold it like this. You kind of need to put some pressure